following is a non-verdict-based research versus show. The stats of the individual characters are not taken into consideration when determining aspects of the fight. However, the characters themselves are going to be represented in their fullest capacity outside of stats. This is versus universe. The image of a criminal is typically a negative one, tarnished by those that commit heinous actions in a lawless sense. However, some use the tools of the outlaw to enact their own justice outside of their corrupt governments. The rebel, trying his best to take down the system that had wronged him in the first place, trying to fix what he and only a select few others see. That is a thief's requiem. Joker, leader of the Phantom Thieves of Heart from Persona, and Giorno Giovanna, member of Passione and stand user from Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. Let's begin! If you lived in Japan in 2016, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone more normal-looking than Ren Amamiya. Yes, that's the name I'm going with. You can leave your angry Akira comments now. I actually like Akira more as a name anyway, but like, accuracy. Anyway, though this teen appeared normal on the surface, inside himself he harbored a rebellion yet to be unleashed. That is, until he came home late one night from school and saw a defenseless woman getting attacked by a sloppy drunkard, and with nobody else around, he knew what he had to do. However, he had barely so much as put his hands upon the man when he started to shout words about how infamously powerful he was and that he'd sue the child. And, to his credit, he kept true to his word. Now on probation and expelled from his old high school, Ren had to move to Tokyo and live with the coffee-loving Sojiro Sakura all the while. Late one night, as Ren began to doze off in his attic abode, he started dreaming that he was in a jail cell, dressed as a prisoner, complete with a ball and chain. Here, he met the Velvet Room attendants, Justine and Caroline, and their master, Igor. Ren was told he possessed the power of the wild card, and then was shot back awake. Now going to his first day of his new school, he found himself getting acquainted with that school's gym teacher, a man named Suguro Kamoshida. After their meeting, a boy with bleached hair, around Ren's age, started yelling about said gym teacher. These words were picked up by Ren's phone, and through an app he tried deleting numerous times at this point, the duo was sent into something known as a palace. In this place, they met a version of Kamoshida that seemed cartoonishly evil. Thrown into a jail cell, not unlike his dream, and with the delinquent about to be executed, only one option remained. Confronted once again by that question of rebellion, of whether or not that woman he saved that night was a mistake, a gust of resolve shot out of the boy. Then, out of nowhere, a mask appeared on his face. Ripping it off, his ordinary school outfit was replaced in a blue flame with a black overcoat. Behind him, something manifested. This was the birth of Joker and his persona, Arsene. A persona is a manifestation of a persona user's inner thoughts made tangible, and as such reflects the user's innermost desires and wishes. While the way a persona can manifest differs from story to story, in Joker's case, the way he summons his persona is via his mask, which, I mean, kinda fitting, seeing how persona literally means mask in Latin. With the persona, a persona user can do a great many things, but most notable is fucking magic? Arsene in particular grants Joker access to curse-related magic, which sounds cool until you realize it's basically just a darkness-esque attack. Looks cool though. Persona users also manifest a weapon to attack without their personas with, and Joker's was a butterfly knife. Wonder if there's any symbolism going on there. With these powers, he managed to defeat the shadows that the shadowy Kamoshida summoned, but his power was fluctuating. He couldn't hold on to this rebellious form for too long, so he and the blonde-haired boy, named Ryuji Sakamoto, decided the best thing to do was book it the hell out of there and attempt to get to their actual school. Along the way, however, they met a cat-like being that called itself Morgana. Morgana also had a persona, same as Joker, but he seemed far more adept at using it. Morgana explained to the duo what a persona is and guided them out of the palace, while also explaining what exactly that palace is. See, a palace is essentially a manifestation of an individual's distorted desires, and shapes to the individual's taste specifically, as well as a domain they view themselves as the owner of. Surprise, surprise, Ren and Ryuji got caught up in Kamoshida's palace by accident, and then promptly proceeded to escape back into reality. To explain that a little bit, palaces and the shadows that dwell inside them are all inside a place known as the Metaverse, and with the app on Ren's phone that would later be called the Metaverse Navigator, he and whoever he wants can go into the Metaverse and by extension, palaces, whenever they desire. But that's not all. By stealing a palace ruler's distorted desires, there is a chance of something happening to them. A change of heart. Essentially, a normally heartless and cruel person will become overwhelmed with grief and despair at their own actions, and will attempt to pay whatever price they deem necessary for their debauchery. Said debauchery varies from person to person, so not every single person has a palace. Only people that fully believe in their own distorted desires have palaces manifest, and even then they have to view themselves as a ruler. Because of that, the places they view themselves as rulers of also dictate the layout of their palaces, and in places where their reign is weak, it is safe to mope around. Otherwise, there will be a horde of shadows heading your way. Kamoshida was no different. Ryuji specifically wanted to take him down due to Suguro cringe-ass Kamoshida purposely fucking him over in the past. So, they went back into Kamoshida's palace to get intel, and almost immediately after they got what they needed, they got pinned down by powerful shadows. Ryuji didn't want to take another L, so he got back up and summoned his own persona. But there's something else at play here. You see, since palace rulers are the shadow versions of the real people, there is a possibility that killing the shadow will kill the real person. And this made Ren and Ryuji hesitant, as well as Morgana, but like, fuck him. That is, until a student at their school attempted suicide because of Kamoshida's bullshit. It was then they decided it was worth the risk. They were going to change his heart. And along the way, came on to Kamaki, who was the best friend of the girl that attempted suicide, sending a calling card to make his real self notice the Phantom Thieves. Together, the four of them took down Kamoshida. And while they did spare him, they made him have a change of heart. This was the birth of a new set of vigilantes fighting for justice among the corrupt adults of Japanese society. This was the start of the Phantom Thieves. In spite of their success, the team wanted to do more. While searching for the next big target, i.e. Kamo Shithead 2.0, Morgana, who's a cat in real life by the way, told the team about a place called Mementos. Mementos is essentially the public unconsciousness palace, so everybody's shadow who isn't a palace ruler manifests there. In there, the Phantom Thieves can catch small time targets while waiting for larger ones to come by. And they did. Twice over, as a matter of fact. Both Ichiryu Saimadarame and Junya Kaneshiro had their hearts changed and desires stolen, and the Phantom Thieves gained new members in Yusuke Katagawa and Makoto Nijima, the latter being the sister to the prosecutor Sai Nijima, who was in charge of the investigation on the Phantom Thieves. Ain't that convenient? But part of their success lies with the Joker's ability. See, every other Phantom Thief can summon a persona, but that's just it. They can only summon just one. Mr. Wildcard here has the ability to summon up to 16 personas in one battle, all with wildly differing abilities. Part of this has to do with the Arcana. Joker's Arcana, the Fool, represents a blank slate destined for a great journey with friends to be made along the way, so it's only natural his mask would manifest in various differing ways. But some of these things are a bit ridiculous. Personas typically have one main elemental spell they can perform, such as a fire or electrical spell, but some of these specific abilities, and especially nullifications, can be a bit much. Like, oh, do you want a persona that will literally nullify any physical damage done to you? Bam! Shiki OG's your man. Not only that, but every persona also has varying nullifications like Shiki over here, basically making Ren immune to any type of damage you could think of, if you could switch them out in time. But the 16 carrying capacity doesn't do much to limit creativity, and on top of all this, he has a fucking gun. No, not really. It's not an actual pistol he's got. Instead, due to how the metaverse works, it's a toy pistol that shadows simply perceive as being real since it's so realistic looking. But it doesn't change the fact that he has a fucking gun. In Japan, it is kind of amazing what Ren manages to get away with. That doesn't end up Persona using though. Ren is a wild card through and through, and that means he can't go 2 steps without making friends with somebody. A washed up politician? Sure. A weird drunk lady who really wants him to be her boyfriend? I mean, it'd be rude not to. A literal TV celebrity who, gives me kind of weird vibes. Yeah, sure, why not? It was around this time that Ren began receiving weird texts, not from the drunk lady, but from a hacker by the name of Alibaba. See, the Phantom Thieves had gained a bit of a following after their last 3 successful heists, and with the public nature of their calling cards, they managed to gain a bit of popularity. In particular, one of Ren's classmates, Yuki Mishima, operated a website known as the Fan Site and kept Joker up to date with potential Mementos targets. But all this is important because Alibaba actually hacked the fan site and issued a warning to the Phantom Thieves, or rather, they issued a target. Through encrypted text messages, the team learned the name of the target. One Futaba Sakura, but isn't that the last name of the person who's caretaking Joker? I mean, it's worth a shot to trespass into his house and see if he has a secret wife or daughter. And oh my god, I cannot believe that worked. So yeah, Futaba is a bit of a shut-in due to the fact that her mother passed away when she was young, and she was manipulated into thinking that it was her fault. Not by Sojiro, but by men in suits? It's never really explained specifically who. But this was enough for the Phantom Thieves to agree to change her heart, and this would be the first instance of a palace appearing not because of wicked desires, but Futaba realized she was being manipulated, and, like a true gamer, killed the cognitive version of her mother while awakening to her own persona. But it's important to know why her mother died in the first place. See, Wakabe Ishiki, who's Futaba's mom if you couldn't tell, was researching the subject of cognitive science, with a P, and its effects on the world, until a man by the name of Masayoshi Shido, why does that sound familiar, came in, took her research, and had her silently executed. Remember what I said that there was a way to kill somebody via destroying their shadow? Well, Shido had somebody among his ranks who had access to the metaverse, just like the Phantom Thieves, and who wore a black mask. This man in the black mask, catchy name I know, went around giving anybody Shido deemed unnecessary a quote-unquote mental shutdown, which is just a medical term for when a person's shadow is killed and they, in turn, die in real life. So that happened to Futaba's mother and a whole host of other people. But the Phantom Thieves didn't ruminate on that for long. On the fan site, there was a poll for the next target the thieves should take on, and the unprecedented #1 pick was a guy by the name of Kunikazu Okumura, owner of Okumura Foods. And so, with the help of Okumura's own daughter, Haru, the thieves managed to steal his heart, just like their previous 4 targets. However, this was a ploy set up by Shido and his team, for as soon as they finished that palace, the man in the black mask was there to kill Okumura's shadow. And when Okumura held a press conference to announce his atonement, just like Madarame, something unexpected happened. His eyeballs rolled back into his head, and black blood crept out of his tear ducts, and he knelt over, dead. Naturally, this had a pretty lasting impact on Haru, but moreover had a negative impact on the team as a whole. See, Shido's team actually manipulated the polls on the fan site so that Okumura would be their next target, so the whole thing was set up from the get-go. With their popularity at an all-time low, the thieves were at a standstill, not knowing what to do or who to trust. Then, in the aftermath of their Okumura heist, during a school festival, that TV celebrity I mentioned earlier introduced himself to the team as Goro Akechi and announced he had access to the metaverse. Now dealing with blackmail since Akechi saw them flee from Okumura's palace in the real world, he had 2 requests: that the Phantom Thieves disband, but before they do, they needed to change the heart of one particular person, Sai Nijima. So like, kind of a 2 birds 1 stone scenario, the team set out to steal Sai's heart. I mean, Makoto was a little hesitant seeing as this is her sister, but she came around. And when the time came, thieves all set out to take her heart. However, not everything went according to plan. Joker ended up getting captured by the cops, gross, and was sent into questioning. This was because Akechi was secretly the man in the black mask the whole time. Who would have thunk it, everyone? Everyone would have thunk it. But little did he know that the thieves were on his ass, and Joker getting captured was actually their plan from the start, so that they could beat him at his own game. But to do that, they needed a foolproof plan. So, they made one. That involves a drugged up Joker persuading Sai to the thieves' side. But, you know what? No. They didn't fucking make a foolproof plan. Here's everything wrong with the plan in Persona 5. How do they know which cell Joker were we going to? How do they know that Sai would be the one to question him? Scene does not contain a lap dance. How did they know the Joker would be conscious enough to sway Sai to their side? How did Akechi get out of the metaverse that the thieves put him in? He needed to get out. How did he get out? Is that what A Way Out is about?
This is how your justice ends.
But in spite of all of its numerous 5 faults, the plan did succeed, and the team was now ready to take on their primary target, the man that made life hell for the most of them, Masayoshi Shido. With their enemies thinking Joker was dead, because the plan was just that foolproof, they now had all the time in the world to change Shido's heart. Except they didn't, since elections were coming up in like 2 days, and Shido was running for Prime Minister. That's president for anyone who only speaks American. So they had to step up their game with the calling card this time, with the help of Futaba. Gross. The thieves managed to hack into Tokyo Square and announce their next target to Japan as a whole. But then came the issue of actually completing Shido's palace. To do so, they'd have to traverse through it very squeakily. Get it? 'Cause mouse. And despite it being their toughest challenge yet, the Phantom Thieves made it out on top. With Shido's shadow defeated and his treasure stolen, his heart was taken. But not everything was right. Despite this being their final target, the Phantom Thieves felt something was amok with the whole situation, it feeling more bittersweet than anything. This was because Mementos itself was harboring the treasure of the masses, and without stealing that treasure, the world would be forever overrun with terrible people. And the person instigating this? A false god going by the name of Yaldabaoth, who gave Renin, weirdly enough, Akechi their abilities. Oh yeah, Akechi kind of committed to die in Shido's palace. Whatever, it's not like he's important. Yaldabaoth disguised himself as the friendly Igor, and pretended to help Ren through his journey. But in secret, he was testing Ren to see if humanity was like, worth it or not. He decided they weren't, because he's the bad guy. But Joker and this white-haired child lady said that humanity is pretty cool actually. So, after scouring the depths of Mementos and nearly getting erased from existence when Mementos merged with the real world, since Mementos is linked to unconscious thought and Yaldabaoth has full control over it, and like he controls thoughts, since they're in Mementos technically, so it's like they're getting erased from existence. I hope you're taking notes. So, after getting erased from existence kind of, Joker found himself back in the Velvet Room with this child, who was the combined form of Justine and Caroline that Yaldabaoth had split into two, their true form being named Lavenza, and the real Igor, and after explaining something about Morgana being like a creation or whatever, they got back out to the ruined Tokyo to face down Yaldabaoth, finally. While Shido had fucked up a lot of the party beforehand, Yaldabaoth was really Joker's true enemy. He was the one who called to him on that day Ren intervened in Shido's abuse, and he was the one that pulled him into this twisted game. So, it only makes sense as a trickster's finale for a false god to be punished. And punished he was. After beating him a fair amount, the thieves fell and wondered if it was even possible to beat him. Then, something happened. The people watching from below, some of which Ren befriended personally, began cheering on the Phantom Thieves. Their cheers turned into praise, and that in turn turned into power. Power that Joker grasped in his hands, as the will of the people made him realize something. He still had room to grow, even after helping all of his fellow thieves. So, he summoned Arsene for one last time, and grabbed the Persona's chains, yanking them downward. The shackles of the fool had finally been unleashed, and Joker's ultimate persona was revealed. This is Satanael. Personas are unique, not just for their magical capabilities, but for their ties to the self. See, if a person can harbor a massive growth within them, their persona too shall grow into something more powerful. Potentially, this can go on forever. But all the thieves had the potential of a second-tier persona, Joker included. So, Arsene, Joker's original persona born all that time ago in that cell in Kamoshida's palace, transcended into Satan himself. Well, actually, Satan is a separate persona, but you know what I mean. Joker raised his pistol one last time, and so did Satanael. Holy shit, that gun is fucking huge. Actually, Satanael himself is just fucking huge. I guess it's to combat Yaldabaoth's own huge design, but jeez. Really just goes to show how powerful Joker truly is. But, with a sinful shell shot in his head, the false god Yaldabaoth was no more. And along with him, the metaverse itself vanished, the thieves' powers going away as well. Goodbye, Magic Ghost superpowers. Hello, Christmas! Yeah, that entire thing I just said took place all in one night. And it just so happened to be Christmas. So the Phantom Thieves saved Christmas. Where's the thousands of op-eds about Persona 5 being a Christmas game, huh? Die Hard's had it too good for too long. And, after spending the night alone with a special someone, Ren met up with the Phantom Thieves the following day to celebrate their true success. Well, it would be the end of the Thieves' run. It certainly wouldn't be the last time they saw each other, their bonds going deeper than friendship. They were a true family at this point, and nothing could stand in their way, except for the fact that Ren's probation was coming to an end and he'd have to leave Tokyo in a few months. While bittersweet, they all sent Ren off personally after those months passed, driving him to his destination. And so, the Phantom Thieves of Heart went off quietly, while Ren embraced, once again, a new change in his life. Except the game made money, so they made another version that gets rid of that ending, so let's talk about it. So there's this counselor, and after Yaldabaoth was defeated, despite the metaverse appearing to be destroyed, it actually was put on life support by this dude. His name's Maruki. Maruki's whole deal is that he has a massive messiah complex, to the point where he has an ability to literally overwrite or actualize reality so that he can help others be free of pain. Getting rid of free will wasn't exactly something that the thieves would stand for. That is, if they could wake up with the false reality Maruki had put the world in. But Joker was unique. He immediately sensed that everyone's desires were getting granted. And since some of those desires included the resurrection of the dead, it was hard to not point it out. And, Akechi is here too? Probably because Ren didn't like how things ended with them both in Shido's palace. But once Joker got all the thieves to realize their happiness was built on a false reality, another character was going through some shit, and Red had to talk her out of it. After she calmed down a little bit, Marco gave the thieves an ultimatum to either submit to his happy world or fight him in his palace. As if they were going to do anything other than murder this man, the thieves set to ravage the palace for the 8th, or 9th if you want to get really technical, and final time. It wasn't easy, but the addition of both Akechi and red-haired girl, I forgot the name of, definitely added to the team's firepower. Especially Akechi since, like Joker, he was an appointed wildcard. It was essentially the second knight in Yaldabaoth's grand game of chess. So, in a lot of ways, Joker and Akechi were destined to butt heads sooner or later, after crawling their way through the floating people and color switch puzzles. Kill me. It came time for their confrontation with Maruki. But Maruki had a secret. He was a persona user the whole time! This unique actualization of reality was the result of his persona that fully was born when Yaldabaoth merged Mementos in reality. The persona of Azathoth. And, in the hardest fight of their career, even harder than a literal deity, the Phantom Thieves of Heart had one more desire to steal. And although Maruki was no pushover, through clever scheming and planning, they reigned victorious in the end. The metaverse was fading away once again, but Maruki wasn't finished. He still wanted to prove himself, but in spite of the safety he could have been guaranteed, Joker went down for one final confrontation. Their powers faded, Ren and Maruki fists fought in the snow, struggling to even stand straight after their gauntlet of a previous battle. Maruki begged Ren to let him fall to his death, but in spite of all of his actions, Ren wouldn't let go. Deep down, he knew that despite the doctor's plan to trap everyone in a false reality, it came from a place of love and admiration for the human race. That dream for a utopian society, however, died with the metaverse, as Joker caught Maruki. They were saved from the falling rubble by Morgana turning into a helicopter. What? And the thieves went on in their lives. Makoto and Haru went to attending college. Futaba got out of her shell and went to high school. Ryuji and An moved away to different schools, and Joker and Morgana went back to his parents' residence. The Phantom Thieves of Heart officially disbanded, even if all of them wished their time together could last longer. And in some ways, that wish was granted. Of course, they would still be friends, but not forever. But that's the beauty of life. To know that you have affected someone enough to know that they'll think of you forever and be grateful forever for what you've done for them. And while he may be a sassy trickster, Ren is nothing if not full of heart. Not one person who he met didn't think of him after his departure, and not one person was worse off for knowing him. That's the nature of the wild card. He can see himself in anyone and everyone. He can change anyone and everyone. He can take your heart.
Checkmate.
Once upon a time, in Victorian England, there was a man named George Joestar. This man, his wife, and his newborn son were riding in a carriage one stormy night until it crashed and the wife tragically lost her life. Then, a nefarious thief named Dario Brando came upon the wreckage and started looting, but as George came to, he saw Dario and assumed the complete opposite. Instead, Dario was there to help him and his son survive. And, backed into a corner, that's exactly what he did. He lied about his intentions, and because of that, George now owed him a favor. Years later, Dario died, and the only one left of the Brando bloodline was his son, Dio Brando. Dio used his father's favor to become the adopted son of George Joestar and the adopted brother of Jonathan Joestar. Dio and Jonathan quickly formed a rivalry, the former antagonizing the latter on purpose by doing some really terrible things, namely killing his dog and beating him in boxing, but really, the dog murder is what tipped the scales. Once it was revealed Dio was poisoning George, as he had done with Dario before, by the way, Jonathan couldn't take it anymore. He tried to kill his brother, only for Dio to pull out a stone mask and transform into a vampire. It took a while, and Jonathan learned to harness the power of the sun in his hands, but he did manage to defeat this vampiric version of his older brother, until he and his newlywed wife's honeymoon ship was lampooned by Dio's severed vampire head, and people make fun of part 1 for being too grounded. Jonathan died as the ship sank into the water, but Dio took that opportunity for a new body and ran with it. So, with vampire DNA, he was around for a very long time, and that means Dio fucked for a very long time with Jonathan's body, which means any child of Dio's would be a Joestar by blood, and Dio fucks. Said fucking resulted in a plethora of children, but our focus is on one Haruno Shiobana, son to the Japanese woman Simona. He remained in Japan until the age of 4, when he moved to the country of Italy after his mother remarried to an Italian man. This man was not the kindest to Haruno, often beating him for seemingly normal things. This led Haruno to view himself as lesser than a normal person, as scum to be swept away. That is, until one day, when he was walking by his lonesome, he spotted a man in an alleyway, clearly running away from something, and Haruno saw a speck of himself in that man. After a little while, a group of men came to ask Haruno if he saw that man before. Instead of telling the truth, he opted to lie and protect the man he had never even met. The man returned from his hiding place and promised Haruno that he wouldn't regret that decision. After a few days, the boy noticed that his father had ceased his beatings, and that he was suddenly much more popular than he was before at school. This was because the man he saved happened to be a powerful mafioso. He decided to return the favor he owed Haruno, whether because of that being the only positive influence on his life up to that point, or him realizing it would be the only way forward. He did two things. He renamed himself Giorno Giovanna, and he proclaimed his dream. His new dream. His dream to weed out the corrupt underbelly of Italy by becoming a gangstar. So, the newly named Giorno set out to do just that. His hair transformed from a pure black to a luscious blonde, just like his father, and he started running a faux taxi service outside the Naples airport. There, he met Koichi Hirose, somebody else tied to the Joestar bloodline, and attempted to rob his luggage. Koichi attempted to get his stuff back, but Giorno had an ace up his sleeve, one that Koichi also had coincidentally. Giorno has the power of a stand.
Gold experience!
A stand is a manifestation of the user's soul, taking form however the user's innermost passions dictate. Most stands are humanoid in form, but it can differ between users. All stands also have unique abilities that no other stand can replicate, and Giorno's is no exception. His stand has the ability to manipulate life, in a sense. He can transform objects into animals or plants, and those items that get transformed have a unique property to them. Well, two, actually. The transformed object will inflict any damage done to it on the person that attacked it in the exact same manner. And, if the transformed object is part of a living thing, the object will try its hardest to get back to its original host. If that sounds weird, it's because it is. This is just one of many bizarre abilities in the Jojo universe, but even then there's a fair amount of leeway with just what Giorno can do with a specific ability. He actually managed to develop a healing technique, but it's not really healing. See, he's just replacing the wounded area on a body with a non-wounded one, so it's not like healing in the traditional sense. And unlike traditional healing, the process of Giorno's healing is pretty damn painful. This life-giving ability needed a name. and Giorno thought of one fit for his resolve. Golden Wind. I mean, what shit, fuck, Gold Experience. Its name is Gold Experience. Why the fuck did I say Golden Wind? After inadvertently murdering a member of a gang with Gold Experience, Giorno quickly became hunted throughout the city of Naples. This led to him being chased into a subway, where he met one Bruno Bucciarati. Bruno attempted to fight him, and despite having his own very powerful stand, was no match for Giorno. In fact, another of Gold Experience's abilities was revealed in this fight, the power to enhance the perception of anything Gold Experience touches, so that they can experience any touching sensation tenfold, including pain. This combined with Gold Experience's massive speed means any and all stand rushes Giorno does have that little caveat to them. Isn't that horrifying? It wouldn't even be that bad if he also wasn't telling you how useless it was every time he threw a punch. Well, anyway, at the end of their scuffle, Giorno noticed something about Bruno. He looked disgusted at a man who had just been using drugs, and this told Giorno something, that he and Bucciarati shared the same goal. So, with a new friend in hand, Giorno took to joining Bruno's gang to take it down from the inside. But before they could do that, Giorno would need to pass a test, and he passed it, and he killed the guy who gave it to him. Cool. After officially joining the gang known as Passione, Giorno met his team. Mista, the number 4 hater, Obakio, known pisser, Narancia, heart of gold, dumb of ass, and Fugo, who is really smart. Needless to say, they weren't the brightest light in Passione, but they did have the most important mission of any team in the organization, to bring the boss's daughter to him. See, Passione's boss is a bit of a recluse, and doesn't like anything pertaining to his identity to be out in the world, including his own flesh and blood. So, Team Bucciarati were tasked with taking Trish Una, his daughter, back to him safely. Standing in their way was La Squadra, a group of highly efficient assassins hell-bent on destroying the boss. Team Bucciarati and La Squadra fought a bunch, but eventually there was only one member that remained, Risotto, their leader. In each of Team Bucciarati's fights with the Squadra, Giorno had the chance to show each member of the team something important, his resolve to see his dream become a reality. This was important because they were going to essentially do what the Squadra was doing right now, and they needed to know they could trust Giorno before actually going through with their rebellion. In spite of the supernatural stand beside him at all times, Giorno's real ability is the fact that he can inspire hope and change in others almost effortlessly, due to staying so true to his own beliefs and convictions. Abakio, Mista, Narancia, and Fugo all got to see Giorno's resolve in action at least once, and it awoke something in them, a desire to move forward. That and the fact that Giorno has a bit of a tendency to mutilate himself so that others will have a better chance of dealing with the enemy. He wouldn't be a Jojo without self-sacrificial tendencies now, would he? The gang met up outside a cathedral, and Bucciarati himself decided to escort Trish to her father. That is, until a blip in time caused the woman whose hand he was holding to be torn off of the rest of her body. As he reached the bottom of that elevator, the boss was there, stalking his prey like a predator in the night, and he utterly destroyed Bruno with his stand's ability, leaving the man with a gaping hole in his chest, passing out from the wound. Trish herself was unscathed, but Bruno was the one that got really fucked up from this. Giorno came into the room as they had planned, but what he saw wasn't exactly what he was expecting. So, before Bruno's soul could leave his body, Gold Experience literally made it so that his soul was now inhabiting his decaying corpse. So yeah, Giorno just brought someone back from the dead, kinda. No big deal. No big deal. After their betrayal was made apparent to the boss, Team Bucciarati was all left with an individual choice: to continue with Bruno and Giorno on their crusade, or to stay behind in safety. Abakio, Mista, and Narancia agreed to continue with the two, alongside Trish, who they were ostensibly protecting, but one man stayed behind. Panicata Fugo realized the danger they'd all be in, and was too analytical in his approach to see that they all continued in spite of the odds. So, on that dock, only he was left behind. The others continued onwards, and with basically all of the squadron taken care of, you'd think they'd be okay for at least a little bit. But Passione's boss has an elite squadron of stand users called a Unita Special, I hope I said that right, capable of disposing nearly anyone close to him. They were more like bodyguards, whereas the squadron was more of an advanced team of assassins. Now completely at odds with what to do, with an advanced team of stand users on their trail, and their leader slowly but surely decaying every second, Team Bucciarati seemed to be at an impasse. That is, until they got a message to go to the Colosseum in Rome. There, they would find something that could take down the boss's insane power. So, in spite of all of this, the one last the squadron member left alive, the leader, Risotto, used some information he got to track down the boss's whereabouts. Only, he didn't find a menacing figure with a powerful stand. Instead, he found a scared boy with a weird mental tick to pick up random objects and pretend they were phones. This boy was Vinegar Doppio, and in spite of him appearing innocent, Risotto went for the kill. Now, partially this was because Doppio was obviously a Passione member, and Risotto had resigned to kill any one of those who he found, lest they kill him first. But that's not the crazy part. See, Doppio actually is Passione's boss. Well, he was inhabiting the body of Passione's boss alongside the actual boss. Two souls inhabiting the same body, each coming out when they're needed the most. One more docile, one more hostile. Is this a fucking Xenoblade ref? So, Doppio and Risotto fought on that beach to a bit of a standstill, until Team Bucciarati saw Risotto and decided to take care of business. With the boss at large, and on the same island as Team Bucciarati, it would only be natural for one of their own to have a confrontation with him. Unfortunately, that one would be Abakio, whose stand had uncovered information on the boss using its rewinding ability. Left with a gaping hole in his chest, Leon Abakio was unfortunately no more. Despite being overcome with grief and despair, the rest of the gang treaded onwards, not letting Abakio's sacrifice mean nothing. So, they headed to the Colosseum finally, to talk to this mysterious man. Said mysterious man waited for them patiently, and after giving a serial... what the fuck do you even call Chocolata? A very nasty beatdown that lasted at least 6 pages, maybe even 7. They met up and... oh my god! It's Polnareff! Polnareff from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3 Stardust Crusaders! He's here! And in a wheelchair. Anyway, he revealed that he and his friend, Jotaro Kujo, split up around the world to find stand arrows. Arrows that give you a stand. And while Jotaro looked in the east, Polnareff looked in the west, specifically Europe. Gross. It was during this time that he found 2 things. The boss of Passione, whose name was revealed to be Diavolo and was the cause of him going into a wheelchair, and something known as the Requiem arrow. This is what would make Team Bucciarati able to take down Diavolo. If they let their stands get pierced with that arrow, their stand would evolve into something greater than before. A Requiem version. Unfortunately, Diavolo was here the whole time they were talking and overheard basically everything, and tried his damnedest to claim the Requiem arrow for himself. Seeing him coming, Polnareff stuck the arrow into his own stand, Silver Chariot, and everything went quiet for a second. Then, people started waking up, and everybody's body was switched. Giorno, in particular, switched with Narancia, and after they all got accustomed to it, Narancia started talking about how when this is all over, he's gonna go to school and become smart, and he's going to die, isn't he? Yep, he's dead. Very dead. At least Giorno is back in his old body now, and Bucciarati inhabited the body of Diavolo, so that's something. It was a mad dash for the Requiem arrow, and to turn off Silver Chariot Requiem's ability, since Requiem stand users are automatic and cannot be influenced by the user. This was difficult since Chariot Requiem was tasked with guarding the arrow with every fiber of its being. Eventually, Diavolo managed to get the arrowhead, but through a bit of quick teamwork, the passage of fate, and Bucciarati giving up his second chance at life, the arrow landed in Giorno's hands. As the dust cleared around him, Giorno impaled Gold Experience with the arrow, thinking about the friends that gave up their lives for him to be able to do this. Abakio, Narancia, and now Bucciarati. In their wake, their spirits looking down, a new stand was born. As the exoskeleton crackled open, eyes began to form, alongside a more light skin tone, and the arrow adorning its head like a crown. This was the birth of Gold Experience Requiem. Diavolo attempted to counterattack the evolved stand, but he only heard 6 words. You will never reach the truth. Passively, and without Giorno even knowing it, Requiem's ability activated. The ability to revert causality. Essentially, GER can make things revert to the way they once were, a perfect counter for Diavolo's King Crimson, whose terrifying ability was to erase time. Using this ability, he made it so that Diavolo was trapped in an infinite loop of death, with no escape. As repentance for the years and years of hiding his true identity and murdering anyone who did try and unmask him. Giorno, Mista, and Trish were the only surviving members of Team Bucciarati, and so, with the boss defeated, there was only one thing left to do. Giorno returned to Naples from Rome, and there he donned an entirely black outfit, a kiss to his hand, and now he was the true ruler of Passione, and put an end to the drug trading ways. And so, the story of Giorno Giovanna comes to an end. Jojo will live on in infamy, both as a mob boss and as son of Dio. But should you dare question his resolve, he will not hesitate to show you how deep it runs in his blood.
Oh, give me a break. If you really thought I was being serious, then you're the worthless fool. I don't spare pieces of shit!
What did you just call me?
We open to a scene of Giorno Giovanna, fresh off of a plane with a large briefcase in his hand, landing in Japan. He has numerous bodyguards and henchmen following him, but the main one following at his side is one Guido Mista, who strides up to his side before speaking up.
Hey boss, remind me again why we're in Japan. Not that I'm complaining, but it seems like we just land everywhere and anywhere nowadays. And this is the 4th place we've visited so far. You know you've doomed yourself, right?
Giorno continues striding alongside the airport without so much as glancing at Mista as he responds to him.
Mista, you need to learn when superstition goes too far. As for why we're here, well, I think this is the best chance I have at finding out how I gained my stand. Remember when we talked to the Speedwagon Foundation? They said that this marine biologist, Jotaro Kujo, could be the link to the answers I seek.
Mista nods as he, and everyone else, enters a flagrant limousine that departs from the airport. As he enters the car, he responds to Giorno's comment.
Ah, I see. How are we gonna meet him, though?
Giorno, not noticing the partition is partially down, begins to speak about how he plans to meet Jotaro.
Mista, we're passione. We'll always find a way. And also, the Speedwagon Foundation gave us a meeting place and time, so we'll just wait at our headquarters until then.
Right. I still don't have a great feeling about this, boss.
We then cut to the attic of LeBlanc, where currently Morgana is fast asleep, as Ren Amamiya looks perplexingly at his phone, unable to sleep.
Nothing good so far.
It's then revealed that he is browsing the fan site, looking for future targets to scour in mementos. He then stumbles across a post from an anonymous limousine driver that states a certain Italian that he drove that day by the name of Giorno Giovanna.
Must be somebody visiting Japan, but why bring him up?
He then reads the post further, reading that this Giorno person was apparently a mob boss, leading an organization named Passione.
Well, let's see if it's a hit. Giorno Giovanna, Passione, Mementos.
Joker's phone takes a second before responding to him.
Error. No shadow found.
Joker looks at his phone confused.
No shadow, so he's clean. Then why the error message? This can only mean one thing. I need to tell somebody about this.
Ren then opens up his chat messenger and tells his confidant, Ryuji Sakamoto, about the anomaly.
Hey, I tried putting somebody's name in the Metaverse Navigator. Some guy that got posted on the fan site.
At this hour? You sure you can handle them by yourself? I can help you bust some heads if you need me.
That's not the issue. I put his name in the Navigator, but then it told me, error, no shadow found.
Oh, crap! What are we gonna do about him then?
That's the problem. Remember what Morgana said? That Persona users can't have balances.
Ryuji takes a minute before realizing the gravity of what Ren just said, and then responds,
Holy shit. What's our plan then?
Don't tell the others about this, but let's ask Mishima if he can find this guy's whereabouts.
Already on it!
If he tells us anything about this Giorno's location we can use, I imagine a mob boss has pretty tight security. So, you'll be the bait and separate him from his bodyguards, and I'll ambush him and take him into the metaverse.
Why do I always have to be the bait?
It's a role you fit excellently.
F you, man. Oh shit. Mishima just gave me some deeds on this guy. Says he's staying in some sort of lush building on the outskirts of Tokyo. There's a ladybug on the door. Like a decorative one, not an actual ladybug.
You're the only person who would make that distinction.
Yeah, well, we got a location. What are we gonna do?
Tomorrow, right after school, we enact the plan and hope it doesn't go horribly wrong.
Oh man, I was hoping for some leeway this time. No rest for the Phantom Thieves, I guess.
See you then. Let's get some sleep before it gets too late.
Oh crap! You're right. See you tomorrow, dude.
The next day, Giorno and his crew begin flowing back into their headquarters after an outing in the city of Morio. On the table in Giorno's lodgings lies the single briefcase and nothing else.
Gee, boss. Can't believe that Jojo guy had to leave on some family emergency. At least he called us himself to give us the news.
He also mentioned that I was a child of someone named Dio. I wonder what kind of a man he was.
Well, from what Jotaro told us, we should be able to find out more in Britain. You want to head there next?
Giorno begins walking towards the opening windows to the other side of the room, closing his eyes while smiling.
As if there was any other option. Let's get ourselves some tickets to Britain. I suppose we should be able to depart by tomorrow?
Mista sighs in response to that comment.
I doubt it'll be that easy, but we'll see what we can do.
Mista then exits the room to guard the door right outside of Giorno's residence. Outside, right underneath the window where Giorno is stoically standing, Joker is waiting his cue from Ryuji to confront Giorno. On the other side of the building, at the front door, Ryuji awaits an opening to enter the building.
Crap. If I get out of this, I swear to God, Ren, you owe me the next 50 ramen bowls I eat!
He then slides up against the wall, careful to not meet the gaze of any bodyguard surveying the area, until he finds the door being guarded by Mista.
Finally found the main one. Let's go, Joker!
Mista then, for a split second, takes his eyes away from the general area guarding Giorno's room.
Jeez, a flight to Britain from here in one day. Giorno, you're spelled rotten nowadays.
Ryuji takes this opportunity to knock on Giorno's door 3 times in a rhythmic fashion, clearly a tell the Joker.
Alright, all up to you now, dude. I gotta get out of here.
Mista then notices the loud knocking noise and the man that accompanied it.
What the hell? Who let this kid in? Whatever. Sex Pistols!
Crap!
We then cut to Giorno's room as he hears the commotion outside and the signature wail of Mista's stand. Begins his preparations to leave this building. Grabbing the briefcase on his desk, he begins to walk towards the door. But as he does that, Joker sneaks up behind him, and right as he grips the doorknob, Joker activates the Metaverse Navigator and he grabs Giorno by his other wrist.
It's showtime!
Large black and red swirls enter Giorno and Joker's vision, the former freaking out about his new development, but the latter reveling in his power finally coming to him, as his school uniform transforms into his Phantom Thief attire. Giorno takes a moment to contemplate where he is. A menagerie of black and red pools into what appears to be subway tracks, but no matter how far he looks, he can't see any trains here.
What are you? Where am I?
You're in Mementos. I thought you might know of this place, but then again it didn't exactly reveal itself to us on its own. As for who I am...
His mask begins to manifest as he finishes his thought.
I am the leader of the Phantom Thieves, and I'm here to take your heart.
Joker then begins to fistfight Giorno alone, and Giorno responds by dodging the Phantom Thieves' attacks and blocking them one by one. As the stand user blocks his attacks, Joker stylishly flips up his knife before brandishing it in his hand and goes to swipe at Giorno.
Maybe this will make you reveal your secret.
As he says that, he swipes downward toward Giorno's hand, only to find that it's not in his hand that caught the blade. Instead, a yellow aura emanates as a human bug-looking golden hybrid adorned with ladybugs appears before Joker.
Gold experience!
Joker smirks as his theories about the mob boss turn out to be true. He continues his assault with the knife, but also begins speaking as he swings to and fro.
I knew it! You're a persona user, just like me. That's why you didn't have a shadow. Time to end your wicked ways the old-fashioned way, then.
As Joker takes out his toy pistol, Giorno takes a second to process what Joker had just said.
Persona user? Is that what they call stands in Japan? Why didn't Jotaro tell me?
But before he could finish that thought, Joker keeps on the offensive with an impressive array of flips and back tucks weaving in and out of each other, while also firing a spray of bullets out of his pistol. Giorno manages to get distance away from Joker, and has gold experience catch every single bullet fired his way. When Joker runs out of ammo, Giorno takes the lapse in action to use his ability to turn the bullets in Gold Experience's hand into blue butterflies.
Butterflies? What kind of ability is this?
Giorno himself begins to smirk as he begins to get the upper hand.
You've seen it now. The extension of my soul. The power of Gold Experience.
Can't be too bad if all you can do is make things into bugs. As if they're gonna stop me.
Joker begins to swipe at a butterfly, and as it falls to the ground, so does Joker in the same way.
What?
Giorno begins to close in on Joker as he parts the butterflies away, turning some back into bullets while leaving others to fly away into the red and black void.
You know, I've always hated useless things. And that's what this whole situation is. Useless, useless, useless!
Each utterance of that word is amplified by a kick to Joker's back as he's down, stomach first, before he can attempt to get back up. Giorno continues his assault, but beneath the Phantom Thief's head, a blue fire quickly starts and goes out, causing Giorno to instinctively back away. As he does, Joker rises to his feet, accompanied by his main persona, Arsene.
Useless, huh? I'd have to agree. Ravage him! Persona! Much obliged. Let your heart run wild.
As Joker jumps into the air, a black and red projectile, not aesthetically unlike the area they're fighting in, begins to fire down on Giorno. Before he gets all caught in the attack, he does take Gold Experience up to his body and guards himself from the Aha spell. Joker takes the opportunity to run away to about 10 feet away from Giorno and catches him off guard by taking his grappling hook and grabbing one of the many ladybug lapels on Giorno's jacket and swiping the mop-offs with his knife once again. While successfully slicing him once with the blade, each subsequent swing gets blocked and Joker retreats with a backstand.
Getting nowhere with melee. I need a new approach. Time to show him the power of the wild card.
Joker retreats Arsene from the battlefield, then takes off his mask once again and takes out Jack Frost.
Hee-ho! Hee-ho!
As Jack Frost decrees his signature battle cry, the area around Giorno's feet begins to freeze up around him, eventually encasing his ankles and slowly working his way up to his waist.
That ability? You don't have the power of the arrow, do you?
I don't know what you're talking about. This isn't the power of some arrow. This is the power of my will!
As he's being encased in ice, Giorno takes Gold Experience out and he starts attacking Jack Frost.
Hee-ho! Hee-oh, no!
Jack Frost then falls victim to the assault that was befalling him, and the mask that Joker was wearing remanifests on his head.
What have you done?
You're not done yet. Let's fix that.
As he says that, he slowly walks forward as menacing symbols appear around him. He strides in confidence toward the incapacitated Joker, still stunned from one of his many masks getting KO'd, before he realizes the danger he's in.
You lack in something, Phantom Thief. Something important. Resolve. Gold Experience. Teach him what true resolve feels like!
Gold Experience immediately lunges forward and begins his assault on Joker. Pummel after pummel befalls the Phantom Thief as it appears all of his senses are overcome with nothing but pain, and while everything is slowed to his perception, Gold Experience is still faster than what he perceives the world to be. This makes every punch and kick dealt him feel so much more potent and painful, and the stun rush ends with Joker being sent into one of the many walls with mementos, creating a dent in the subway station.
Note to self. Don't get hit. God, I sound like Skull right now.
Do you see it now, Thief?
Joker then brings out another mask, this time being Angel, and she heals him from the stand barrage before Joker begins to speak up again.
All I see is another blight on society I need to correct. Don't underestimate the power of rebellion.
Joker then has Angel cast Polimpa on Giorno and revels in what it makes the mob boss do.
What did you do? I'll get you for that!
Giorno then goes to attack what he presumes to be Joker, only in actuality he's attacking his own stand, basically doing nothing.
Quick, while he's confused. Siegfried!
Joker then takes off his mask, revealing the knightly persona in all his glory, and casts a devastatingly powerful physical spell on Giorno, dealing extreme damage to him. Giorno is bloody and beaten from this attack, as he's struggling to even move. However, he notices a small pebble of a rock beside his hand. He turns it into a bullet and commands it to invade Joker's outfit. It takes a little while, but eventually does its duty, and Joker notices.
What is that? Another bug? Really?
As Joker is occupied, Giorno begins to tend to his wounds from the devastating technical attack with Gold Experience's ability. As Joker finally finds the ant and gently tosses it away, he then begins to strike up a conversation with Giorno.
Why do you do this? Being a mafioso, it can't be for anybody other than yourself.
You're wrong, thief. I did this for the people of Venezia, and now I'm doing this for the people of the Earth.
That can't be true. The phantom thieves of heart only steal from the corrupt. So that's what you must be.
I remember it vividly. The moment I set out on this crusade, I wanted to become a gangstar. And I did. If that makes me corrupt, then so be it. I'd do anything to make this world a better place!
A sea of large tree branches encroach on Joker, as he momentarily has to decide what persona is best at handling this. He decides on taking out Shiki Oji and nullifying all the damage being done from the trees.
You may be like me then. However, that doesn't mean the show isn't over. Lucifer!
Joker then switches out his mask one final time and summons Lucifer to the area. Lucifer begins raining a gigantic laser beam, and it fires directly on Giorno. The morning star completely disintegrates the pavement beneath where Giorno was standing, but despite taking out Gold Experience to block the attack, he's still visibly damaged and extremely bloodied. So bloodied in fact that his right arm was completely burned from the attack. He then chops it off and grows a new one with the ladybug brooch Joker stuck his grappling hook to all this time ago, and transforms the cut off arm into a snake to bite at Joker. The snake then bites at Joker's ankle, and temporarily paralyzes him from the neck down. Giorno then calmly walks toward the briefcase after identifying where it went flying, and props it open. It emanates a brilliant white light as Joker looks on in awe, and out it comes, a singular arrowhead. Joker is noticeably confused at this.
An arrowhead, really? That's your grand plan. That's why you're here.
This arrowhead is not why I'm here. It follows me wherever I go, and helps me get rid of those useless annoyances that try to oppose me in my ambitions. However, you shall never reach the truth, not in this lifetime or the next. For you see, I, Giorno Giovanna, have a dream!
Giorno then impales the arrowhead into Gold Experience, and the now exoskeleton begins to peel as the stand's truest form is revealed. The secret of Giorno Giovanna, the thing that once defeated Diavolo, is finally unleashed. The might of Gold Experience Requiem has been unveiled.
Now return from whence you came!
Gold Experience Requiem then floats to Joker's side and attempts to punch him in the face. But as the Sand's fist attempts to strike, it's stuck inches away from the Phantom Thief's face.
What's happening? Requiem!
A dream, huh?
Joker's mask begins to apparate one final time, the blue flames tickling Requiem's fist as a gargantuan persona manifests behind him.
That's nothing compared to the will of the people!
Giorno simply smirks at this, himself saying,
Useless, useless, useless.
As the gigantic persona behind Joker lines up a shot with the Phantom Thief, as both their guns take aim at the gang star. Joker smirks back and says to his persona,
Pillage him. Sentinel!
The sinful shell is shot, and Giorno keeps his smirk on his face as the Requiem readies a counterattack. After this, only one shall stand. Despite the best efforts of Giorno and his Requiem stand, the sinful shell does in fact hit Giorno head-on. A massive explosion, not unlike the Morning Star, was activated on the Mafioso, and the entire area is encased in a gigantic white light, not at all harming Joker, but leaving Giorno scarred, but not dead. Clearly out of commission, however, Joker begins to walk up to Giorno and takes out his pistol. He stands before the gang star, the wind from the sinful shell flowing his jacket backwards from his standing position.
Checkmate.
He then begins to fire the pistol one last time. However, he aims at the area right beside Giorno's head, intentionally missing him.
You spare me, thief. Has sense finally come to you?
In a way, I guess. I could tell you and I are alike in a lot of ways, Giorno Giovanna. You have a good heart.
Giorno begins to get up with Requiem beside him, to stand seemingly in agreement with the Phantom Thief.
I agree. We have all arrived at the truth.
Well, if Requiem says it, it must be so. Let us call this a truce, Phantom Thief.
Hey, I'm fine with that. We only steal from the corrupt. And from the looks of it, you're not one of those kinds of people. Working outside the law to aid the people. That's the mark of a phantom thief of heart, you know.
If that's an invitation, I'll have to decline. Passione is, has, and will be my main pursuit.
Well, worth a shot. You are insanely powerful. We could use an ally like you.
So are you, Phantom Thief. Do you have a name, or am I gonna have to keep calling you that?
Just call me Joker.
Joker. Seems a bit foolish. Can you get us out of here now?
Sure, hold on.
Joker then presses a button on his phone and returns to the world to where they just were, Giorno's room, the desk in the middle now displaying an open, empty briefcase.
Thank you.
As Giorno turns around, Joker is nowhere to be seen. Giorno looks out the window, finds no one there. Joker had already ran around the entrance and met back up with Ryuji and their agreed rendezvous point.
So, man, how'd it go?
Pretty good, I think. He wasn't corrupt, though. He did have a persona, but it was weird. It had this ability to turn anything it touched into animals and plants.
Well, nothing you couldn't handle, right?
You're right about that. I ended up beating him, but his persona spoke to him like it was sentient. And it agreed with me that we should stop the fighting and become allies.
For real, Ren. You really gotta stop befriending everyone you come across.
What can I say? It's the power of the fool.
As they bicker and walk away into the Tokyo sunset, we cut back to Giorno's room, now empty of the gangster and his compatriots. On the desk beside the open briefcase lies a single thing, a black and red calling card saying something.
Giorno Giovanna, we have taken your heart.
As the simple shell is fired on Giorno and Requiem, the stand goes forward and begins to rush at the bullet, chopping it in half and leaving the remains to explode to either side of them. The wind gusts from said explosions, propelling them into the air, and causing Giorno's jacket and hair to flow freely in the wind.
This is Requiem.
The red and black of Mementos fades for Joker and Sentinel as they are sent into a pink and blue dreamscape, multiple of themselves appearing beside them as they react to the duplicates, in general not really knowing what's happening to them.
You shall never reach the truth.
As the pink and blue dreamscape fades, Joker finds himself in a familiar holding facility. He then hears a voice he knows on the other side, a voice he thought he'd never hear again. The voice of Goro Akechi. Goro then begins to walk into the room and kills the guard next to Joker, before saying to him,
Case closed. This is how your justice ends.
Joker then looks shocked as the all-too-familiar scenario plays before him as it did all that time ago, but this time, it seems like he might actually be in danger. Akechi begins to pull the trigger, and as his finger stretches back into the mechanism, the flare ignites and, suddenly, reality comes crashing back, and Joker is back in Mementos. Giorno, trying to figure out a way to leave this place, was looking around, but then when Joker came crashing back from Requiem's attack, he looked shocked.
Requiem? What happened? I thought he was finished.
I can sense something in him. Something you both share. The will of rebellion. So, this one has been spared.
That's some ability. Reality unfolding on itself, huh? Not exactly unfamiliar to me, but that was different.
You must count yourself lucky, Phantom Thief. Not even I know the full extent of Requiem's powers.
He's autonomous?
To my chagrin, yes. That's why I don't normally have him. But you made me show my hand. Normally I'd have your head for that. But I must agree with Requiem. I sensed it throughout this whole ordeal. The shining resolve within both of us, lighting the path to guide others. And besides, you're clearly not a pushover. So, I propose a truce.
Giorno extends a hand to Joker.
Not like I have much of a choice, but I agree with you anyway. So, we have a deal.
Suddenly, a blue butterfly appears in the area, this one glowing in bright blue in every and all ways, to signify the birth of a new bond, the birth of the traitor persona. As the hearts and fates become intertwined, Giorno asks a question that he's been itching for an answer to.
So, how do we leave this place?
Oh, right, you wouldn't know, would you? Here, allow me.
Joker then takes out his phone, and he takes them both out of Mementos. When they are in the real world once again, Joker's outfit dissipates into that of his school outfit, and Giorno takes notice of this.
Your clothes, what happened?
Joker smirks as he exits the door to Giorno's room.
Whatever do you mean, Giovanna? This is how I've always looked.
Joker then strides away from the Passione building, confident in his new ally and his ability to make friends with just about anyone. However, Giorno remains in his quarters, while Mista begins to check on him.
Oh, hey boss. We managed to get tickets, but we won't be departing for 2 days now. Sorry.
Mista, you worry too much. We'll be fine staying here a little while. Matter of fact, we should visit this country more often.
What happened with that guy that just walked out?
Giorno then walks toward the open windows yet again, admiring the sunset on the Tokyo skyline over the horizon of extravagant trees and gardens.
I found someone like me, Mista. One that shares my resolve. That alone is enough for me to consider staying here for a while.
Sure, yeah, but we are still going to be leaving in 2 days, right?
Questions need answers, Mista. Those come first. But after this is all said and done, I wouldn't mind coming back to this country every once in a while.
Well, I'll leave you to it. We're all gonna go out around midnight tonight, so see you then.
Of course. But for now I'm content to watch the sun set over the resolve we carry.
And Giorno does just that, content to watch the sun for hours if he could, but unfortunately he did have matters to attend to eventually. Giorno smirks as he leaves his room, thinking back on how Passione gained such a powerful ally. A gust flows in from the window, and as Giorno notices the coloring of the sunset outside and the wind from outside, he has but one thought he can't help but say out loud.
A golden wind. Fitting.
So that was cool. And long. So long. Anyway, let's talk about some stuff. So let's start with a biggie. Why does Giorno not have a shadow? Well, given how personas function, it didn't make much sense to give him one. Allow me to explain. A persona in every game is formed from a character's shadow, and only through accepting that the shadow is a part of them can a persona manifest in somebody. Therefore, anybody who has a persona does not have a shadow. And stands are really just personas with more wacky, less JRPG power sets. Both stands and personas are the user's truest selves manifested into a being that stands beside them at all times. So yeah, I'd say they're similar enough to where Giorno or any other stand user would not have a shadow. Call me crazy, insane, male, whatever. That's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. Next up, how on earth did Joker take Giorno into the metaverse? Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. He literally does the same thing, both on purpose and by accident, numerous times. I mean, to start, he ends up in the metaverse by accident, An gets sucked in there by accident, and in their whole plan revolving around Skye, it is integral that they can just drag her into the metaverse. So yeah, it's a thing that happens. Now for the biggest question ever. Possibly the worst question posed by humanity, debated for centuries in the hallowed halls of the Parthenon. Can Joker resist Gold Experience Requiem? I have no goddamn clue, and I really don't need to. For me, that's not why this matchup is interesting. I'm here to speculate and write how these characters and their abilities would interact, but I don't care for a second whether or not one can take out the other. That's not why I write these. And to analyze Gold Experience Requiem kinda goes against the story of Vento Arreo. He's the antithesis to an all-powerful evil stand user. He's the climax of the entire story. To take it out of context and analyze it feels disingenuous. Same goes for South and All for Joker, but it's a little soured by the game itself going on past its natural climax, at least in Royal. The point is, in terms of writing, they are the natural ending points for the story of the fight. To use them in any other capacity feels wrong. And that's an important distinction to make. I'm not a versus debater. I'm not here to collect information, categorize it, and present it to show who would win. That has never been the point of this show. This show is all about characters, and what it means to represent them in the best way possible. Whether or not I succeed is up to the viewer, but it is also what I put first and foremost. This does also apply to how characters fight, but not to the extent where I'm here to tell you how many killer shits a TNT Joker can survive. You can go to any other Versus series for that. That's never going to be my focus, and that's always been why there are 2 endings to every fight. In short, I'm not a versus debater. I'm a fanfic writer that gets voice actors, and I'm pretty okay with that. Anyway, that's my big spiel, but I also want to clarify that I don't really have an ill will towards versus debaters. I'm just not one of them, and don't want to be misconstrued as one. This whole series is a result of everything I love about versus being distilled into something I can call my own. And I hope I can get you to think about this kind of stuff the same way I do. So, sincerely, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.
I've had this birthmark since I was born. I looked it up in the dictionary. It's not in there. I never knew what the hell it meant. Till now. It's the name of our fucking band, dude.
I have Asmark too.